Hello, everyone. My name is Rick Sidler. I'm the Director of Field Automation Scientists here at Unchained Labs. I will be your moderator, and I would like to thank you for joining us today. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. To ask questions, all you have to do is click on that Q&A button in the Zoom navigation bar. It'll be either in the top or the bottom of your screen, and type your question. When submitting a question, please avoid clicking on the anonymous button so we can reach out by email if we aren't able to get to your question. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can today. And now I'd like to introduce Ruja Shrestha, Field Automation Scientist here at Unchained Labs. Today, Ruja will walk us through how you can dispense different types and quantities of solids using the Junior platform. And now I'll hand it over to Ruja.
Thanks, Rick. Hope you can see the slide okay.
Yep, everything's good.
Great, thanks. Everyone, welcome to the seminar today, and thanks for joining us. You're probably here today because powder dispensing is one of the bottlenecks in your everyday workflow, or something that you feel like you are doing for hours, similar to this hamster running in a hamster wheel, before you can move to the next step of adding other components like adding liquids and processing them. You have to dispense solids. There's always a question of throughput and getting more with less. By the end of the seminar, I hope you will see that you can get off the hamster wheel and focus your valuable time on more challenging and exciting tasks. We understand that powder dispensing is a painful task, and it is something that you encounter in all stages of your research workflow. In early stages, you're working on small scale, but running hundreds of experiments per week to identify key parameters and to rank your experiments based on some key metrics. After you have identified these key variables, you want to scale up and perform experiments to give you a better picture on these key metrics. At this stage, the workflow is more focused and a number of experiments you run are limited to just a few per week. The ultimate goal, though, is to scale up for pilot plant or production scale. But the point is, regardless of which stage you're at, you have to dispense powders. But it is mostly painful in the early stages when you have so many powders to dispense into so many different containers, handle different amounts, and keep track of all of them. And you have a whole lot more things to consider when running an experiment. So, for example, you may want to dispense solids in plates, or you may want to dispense into individual vials. You may need to dispense into multiple microvials for primary screening, or a few larger containers for secondary screening. You may also need to dispense small amounts into analytical plates, or may need to prepare capsules or tablets. Whether you're developing new drugs, working on vaccine development, or preparing cell culture media, whether you're improving performance of materials like tires or batteries, looking for solutions to finding sustainable plastic bottles, or working on agrochemical products, you have to do solid dispense. And the type of solid you dispense will be variable depending on your applications. They may have different flow properties. In an ideal world, they're easy to handle and free-flowing. But that is rarely the case, and you could be dealing with high or low density solids, fine solids or glass beads, dry and static or wet and sticky materials, powders with irregular flow or hygroscopic in nature, or possibly even chunky crystals. And more often than not, you would want to dispense different amounts of materials ranging from anywhere from milligrams or submilligrams to gram scale. Make it possible to dispense all different kinds of solids you have to handle using two different types of hoppers. On the left are storage vial or SV hoppers. These are standard disposable 4 ml glass vials with disposable plastic valves. On the right are stainless steel reusable classic hoppers, and they come in different sizes ranging from 10 mils all the way up to 100 mils. The two hoppers have different working mechanisms. For example, SV hoppers work with a tapping mechanism similar to a salt shaker, and classic hoppers work with a stirring mechanism similar to a pepper grinder. The dispensing mechanisms also have learning algorithm built into them. So depending on the properties of your solids, Dispense head can determine how fast tapping or stirring should take place and how far the valves need to be opened. This is continuously monitored during dispense to ensure that the target mass is dispensed within specified tolerance. And for tolerance, you can specify as an absolute value or a percentage as well. And in some cases, the exact dispense amount that you dispense may not be critical, and you can set that amount to be based on speed instead of accuracy. So there's a lot of flexibility around how you dispense your solids. Solid dispensing technologies can be used in either one of our robotic platforms. We have two automated platforms. So the Junior is our smaller platform, primarily used for focused workflows like powder dispense. The Big Kahuna system is a larger platform that allows you to do more end-to-end automated workflows or have a larger capacity for powder dispense. We can customize both the Junior and Big Kahuna layouts using a collection of ARM and deck modules. The way we think about them are like Lego blocks. The modules can be mixed and matched to build either the Junior or the Big Kahuna with capabilities and capacities you need for your specific workflows. So for example, this slide here shows a Junior system for solid dispense with SV and classic dispensing. You see two hopper racks with a combination of SV and classic hoppers, an on-deck balance to record the exact amount of solid dispense, an ionizer bar to neutralize static electricity and to enable you to dispense hard-to-handle static solids. On the right is a vertical plate hotel with 9 plate positions to hold different container sizes. As you can see, we work with these micro-titer plate formats. The plates can hold commercially available glass vials, tubes, plastic containers, or even custom containers that are specific to your labs. We can work with any size or shape of containers that fit into these plates. The plates can also hold SV hoppers that can be stored in vertical plate hotel and provide you with additional powder capacity. The system has flexibility to dispense into individual vials, or an entire plate of vials can be moved inside the balance to dispense into the whole plate. You can dispense into container size of your choice, dispense from one source to many destinations, many sources into a single container, or even many sources to many containers. This particular Junior system shows at least 30 different SV and classic hoppers, including 10 mil hoppers in front and larger hoppers in back. Depending on hopper types and hopper sizes, a Junior system can easily accommodate more than 100 different hoppers on deck. For example, this Junior system has been configured to do powder dispensing with SV hoppers. You see 3 SV hopper racks on deck that hold more than 100 SV hoppers. And the system also has a balance and an ionizer bar similar to the previous system. A plate storage hotel is integrated with the system for high density storage of destination containers. So powder dispensing may seem like a very trivial task, but it can be challenging in its own ways, and I'm sure you experience that on a daily basis. For example, when you're doing primary screening, you need to test thousands of different combinations and may need to dispense thousands of solids in various formats in various containers. As you can imagine, this can be possible using a larger plate hotel or a larger system like Big Kahuna, or better yet, a combination of high density storage platform with a Big Kahuna system. For example, this video shows a higher density storage with more than 2,000 SV hoppers integrated with the Big Kahuna system. Desired source rack is pulled out of storage and placed on plate handoff position on a linear rail, which slides down to a position that is accessible by the plate gripper arm on the robot. In this system, both the storage hotel and the robot are housed inside a glove box to handle air and moisture sensitive materials, and hoppers are barcoded to make sure and confirm that the right source is being retrieved from storage. So far, we have talked about the hardware of powder dispensing. But when you're dispensing thousands of different powders, keeping track of them all is going to be another piece you would need. You want to be able to keep track of your sources, your destinations, amounts dispensed, and a whole lot more. We make this possible using our LIA software suite with 3 different components. The Library Studio and Design Creator component of the software allows you to create library designs in a plate format using simple drag and drop features. You can map a mixture of components into wells and specify specific operation steps to be performed in your experiment. You can drag and drop available process steps into workflow steps and create a step-by-step recipe for your experiment. You can define the amount of dispense, tolerance for your dispense using speed or accuracy, and whether to dispense into individual containers or a plate of containers. Other processing and analytical parameters that are available on the robot can also be added using the drag and drop feature. The Library Studio design that you create is read into the Automation Studio component, which controls the robot. You do not need to program the robot at all to run your experiment. Automation Studio reads the recipe, step-by-step recipe that you have created in Library Studio and runs your experiment just the way you have it designed. In addition to controlling our robot platforms, Automation Studio can also control integrated third-party robots and analytical equipment. All the dispense data, processing data, and analytical data from our robotic platforms and integrated systems can be stored in a centralized database for easy viewing, reporting, and analysis. The reports can be exported into Excel or PDF formats or stored in a centralized database for accessing whenever you need them. The Automation Studio software has an intuitive UI, which gives you access to running your experiment, managing your chemicals on the robot platform, monitoring data, and viewing experiment status as the run is progressing. To run your experiment, all you need to do is enter the ID for the specific experiment that you plan to run and answer a few questions about how you want to run them. All the prompts show up in the beginning of an experiment, so you can basically walk away from the system after starting the run. Once the experiment has started, you can easily track your experiment and view real-time live updates. You can see completed wells as being marked with green. You can view your dispense data as they're completed. You can get record of the chemical you're dispensing, target and actual dispense amounts, timestamps for the dispenses, and how long each dispense took. This allows you to make an estimate for how long the experiment is going to take, and you can walk away from the robot and come back when you expect the experiment to be done. Speaking of data, let's look at how these SV and classic hoppers perform with different types of solids. On this slide, the bar chart shows dispense data for various precious catalysts seen in different colors, using both SV and classic hoppers. Target dispenses are on the x-axis and actual dispenses are on the y-axis. Both SV and classic hoppers can dispense less than 1 milligram, as well as a few milligrams of different catalysts with high precision and accuracy. You can specify dispense tolerance for your dispenses, and with the learning algorithm that's involved, actual dispenses are right on target within the specified tolerance. With disposable hoppers like SV, you may be wondering how many dispenses can you do before you have to dispose of the vial. Keep in mind that these SVs are designed to be disposable with standard 4 ml lab vials and inexpensive SV plastic caps. We have shown that with SV hoppers, you can dispense at least 1,000 times without losing the integrity of the valve and accuracy of dispense amount. What you see on this slide is that SV hopper dispense being tested using either caffeine on the left and glass beads on the right for at least 1,000 dispenses. Top charts show dispense amount on the y-axis with respect to dispense number on the x-axis. Bottom charts show number of dispenses that were higher than specified tolerance of 5.2 milligrams for every 100 dispense. As you can see, for both caffeine and glass beads, more than 1,000 dispenses could be performed without losing the accuracy. And overall, only 1 to 2% of dispenses were out of range. So you can confidently dispense at least 1,000 vials using SV hoppers. And what else can you dispense with these powder hoppers? Well, we've shown that solid dispensing is possible for other applications as well. This slide shows that whether you're dispensing solids for biomass conversion, media preparation, or material development, we can handle all types of solids. In green are target masses, and in blue are dispensed masses. We can dispense dry or wet biomass, shown on top. We can dispense hundreds of milligrams of different materials using either SV hoppers, as shown on the bottom left, or classic hoppers, which are shown on the bottom right. Regardless of the type of material and dispense amounts, we can dispense target masses with good accuracy and precision. And it's not a secret that solid dispensing is just one step of your workflow. Automating solid dispensing may move your bottleneck to the next part of your workflow, and this does not really solve your capacity and throughput problem. In addition to automating solid dispensing, we have a suite of other tools at Unchained Labs to help researchers through their entire research workflow. The way we think about it is that we bucket your research workflow requirements into 3 different categories: preparation, processing, and analysis. When preparing experiments, in addition to solid dispensing, you may need to do liquid dispensing and perform some other steps like capping, decapping. The prepared experiments need to be processed, and these can be different depending on your applications. Whatever your needs may be, we have different Lego blocks to build a platform for your specific needs. Finally, for analyzing the experiments, there are many options such as online analysis, analytical integrations, or sample preparation for offline analysis. 3 buckets of preparing, processing, and analyzing fit into a closed loop design. You can create an initial experimental design, execute on a robot, and view real-time results. The data can include chemical composition, amounts of chemicals dispensed, the processing parameters, and analysis tied to these specific samples. These structured data are stored in a database and are easily available for querying and feeding the data for modeling and predictions for a new set of experiments. As a part of this loop, when you predict new experiments, you need to have a large variety of different chemicals to be readily available for the robot to dispense. And we make this possible by the ability to configure different systems that can store hundreds to thousands of different solids that are available for the robot to dispense and run iterative experiments with minimal human intervention. So with that, I hope that we have shown that you can get off that hamster wheel and escape the grind of powder dispensing. If so, please reach out to us, and we would love to discuss with you more in more detail. We'd love to hear from you, and with that, I'll hand it back to Rick for any questions that may have come up.
Thank you, Ruja, for taking us through the features and applications of powder dispensing using the Junior robot platform. In particular, dispensing of different types of solids, high and low mass solid dispensing, and the ability to dispense to a variety of different configurations of plates or individual vials. We've gotten in some great questions submitted so far. Remember, you can still ask a question by entering it in the Q&A section down below on your Zoom navigation bar. So I'm going to flip over and go to those questions and ask you a few of those now. First one here is, how do you clean the classic hoppers?
Yeah, it's really easy. You can use water to wash away any chemicals left in the hopper, and air dry or use organic solvents like acetone or methanol to dry them. The center shaft of the classic hoppers can be pushed down to store the chemicals away, and then the funnel can also be detached for cleaning.
Great, thank you. The next question that came in is around dispensing, and what's the highest mass that you can dispense?
You can easily dispense up to a few grams of a single material, but that would also depend on powder properties like bulk densities of how much of the powder you can fit inside a single hopper, and the container size you would like to dispense into as well.
Okay. And next was, how long does it take to learn to use the software?
Yeah, not long. Our users find that because of the drag and drop features of Library Studio and Design Creator, the software is very user-friendly to create dispensing designs. And you can easily create power dispense designs in a very short period of time. And you can also save the design that you've created so that you can save it as a template and load it again so that you can save time for future experiments. And that's especially helpful when you're doing similar set of experiments for powder dispensing.
Great, thank you. The next one in is, how does the solid dispenser handle fine powders that are particularly prone to static?
Right, so we have an ionizer bar on the junior system, so that can minimize the electrostatic interaction. And also because everything is contained within hoppers, there is less static interaction compared to when humans are handling those powders.
And that kind of ties into the next question, which was about dispensing air and moisture sensitive solids. I'm assuming somebody's interested in knowing about the glove box.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, both the junior and big kahuna system can actually be housed inside a glove box. And you can do solid dispenses inside the glove box as well. In fact, the big kahuna system video that I showed earlier is inside a glove box, and that housed more than 1,000 different hoppers.
Okay. And I think the final one that we have here in our queue is, how long does it take a typical solid for dispensing?
It would take anywhere from about half a minute to up to 2 minutes, and that there are several different factors that determine that. And one is the dispense amount, the flow properties of the material you're dispensing, also dispense tolerance. So if you have tighter tolerance, it would take longer, and if you're doing based on speed versus accuracy, it would be shorter. And the other key thing is whether you're dispensing into individual vials or an entire plate of vials.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering all these great questions, Rusha, and thank you for this wonderful presentation. I also want to thank everyone who joined us live today. If you would like to have a deeper conversation with our team, please do get in touch with us at info@unchainedlabs.com, or to learn more, you can reach us at our website, www.unchainedlabs.com. We'd love to connect with you. Thank you again for attending our virtual webinar, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.